Top of the top to my good people, man. What's going on with y'all? Hope everybody is doing well on this good, blessed Friday. Hope y'all started off y'all day on a positive note. As for me, I always start my day off on a positive note. Thanking God, giving Him all the glory and the praise. Because if it wasn't for Him, I wouldn't be here, Just that simple, So I thank Him every day I wake up with a breath of fresh air in my lungs to do the best I can do out the day, But on another note, I'm back with some more content, y'all. Just recontinuing from my last reel. And if y'all been, paying attention and locked in, everything I've been saying is my testimony and it's in chronological order. So yeah, I ended up staying at the hospital for about 2.5 weeks. The owner finally reached out to me, feel me, and it was, apologized, took accountability of the lady being unprofessional and neglecting me, and he basically told me, I hired 2 more people, a male and a female, and they're going to be here 24/7 to make sure you and others, get, basically sufficient, care. I'm like, all right, cool, boom. We make, they make, discharge papers and all that, boom. I get in there, boom. I meet them, everything seemed cool. The only little doubt I have is because they have a language barrier, but they do speak better English than the last lady. Not only that, now I have, some help because I have my phone. I can translate, and I also have, this brand. It's called an Amazon Cube, which everybody should know that. I mean, if y'all don't know, that's Alexa, and then I'll just ask her and be like, oh, say this in Indonesian, say this in Armenian, say this in Russian. She speaks over, I think 30 plus languages. So with them, I used to do that sometimes, and they'll read and then they know what I'm saying. I shouldn't have to do that though at a nursing home. That's against my rights. If the person can't speak bilingual, they shouldn't be working there. But I let it be. I humbled myself because I'd rather be going through that just to be at the hospital going through the BS, because hospital care is trash. At least I can come here and get sufficient care, you feel me? So I was there, I say about the first 3-4 days, everything was cool, you feel me? Food was good, they was cooking, they was cleaning me sufficiently, everything was cool. Me being on antibiotics though, I had the 4th day, my bowels started kicking. Antibiotics give you, the side effects. Every medicine have a side effect depending on who you are, but antibiotics can give you nausea, feeling, vomiting, dizziness, diarrhea. So I had, some episodes of diarrhea. You feel me? They had cleaned me like 2-3 times through the day. I think the last time they cleaned me it was like 9 something, right? And dude was like, man, if you have diarrhea again and it's after 12 o'clock, don't call us. And I'm like, what you mean don't call? He's like, don't call, man. We need to get our rest. If we're not rested well, we can't wake up the next day and provide proper care. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but you are here to help us patients, and if we can't do, the physical needs that need to be done for ourselves, y'all got to do it for us. And he's like, well, I told you what I said, pretty much. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna call the owner. He was like, all right, I don't care. Call him, man. Tell him. I'm like, all right, cool. I called the owner. The owner like, no, they're 24/7. You need help, call them. I'm like, cool. Boom. I guess the owner relayed that message to him or whatsoever. And I say about 12:45, maybe like 1 in the morning, I had another episode. I had to call him. I hit my alarm. You feel me? I hit my alarm twice. Did nobody come? So now I'm basically just laying in a puddle of diarrhea. You feel me? This diarrhea has got inside my urethra. For those who don't know what a urethra is, it's your pee hole. So it got in there, boom. Now it's burning. You feel me? My body's reacting to the pain. I'm just steady shaking and spasming. You feel me? I end up falling asleep. I wake up to him coming in my room with breakfast at like about 8:45, 9 o'clock. And he kind of stopped. He was appalled of what's going on because he sees, my linen is soiled, my clothes is soiled. He like, man, why you didn't call me? I'm like, why I didn't call you? I called you, didn't come. And he tried to say, no, I didn't. I said, man, I called you. I'm not going to argue with you. All you got to do is call the owner. The owner knows I called. I called the owner and told him. Long story short, they had to clean me up. They cleaned me up to the best of their ability, but I'm still shaking. My body is constantly shaking. So I'm like, yeah, man, this is my body reacting to pain. You're going to have to call 911. They're going to have to switch this catheter out and probably do something to help me, cope and calm down. They called 911. Ambulance came. They took my blood pressure. That's protocol for ambulance. They got to take your blood pressure, ask you your medical questions, background, stuff like that. My blood pressure was like 180, like over 130 or something like that. They like, man, this is absurd. Why is your blood pressure like that? Because I'm in pain and my body is spasm, as you see. They're like, all right, well, let us get you to the hospital. What hospital do you usually go to? Northridge. That's the closest to where I'm at. Boom. They take me to Northridge. There, the Northridge, nurse comes and holler at me. I'm irritated, so I ain't gonna lie. Every question that she's asking me, I'm basically, answering it in a smart way, man. I ain't gonna lie, I was upset. She told me to calm down, answer the questions we can do. Answer the questions and we can help you as quick as possible. Boom. I asked the questions, and then after I answered the questions, they got me into a room. They changed my catheter. As they pulled the catheter out of me, you can see stool still on the catheter from the part that was inside of me. So now they're like, man, it went all the way inside you like this. They're like, nah, this ain't cool. Like, so I explained to the lady, like, what happened? I explained to her, and she's like, oh, yeah, no, that's neglect. I'm going to make sure I tell, my supervisor so we can report this. I'm like, all right, go ahead. I already made my report through Adult Services. Adult Services is an agency that helps, you feel me, adults and disabled adults that's in the hospital or nursing facilities when they have abuse or negligence or, period, something like that. Boom. I made that report. Boom. They went out the next day, I think, or 2 days later, and tried to confront them and see what happened. The guy left, and they emailed me and told me they couldn't do nothing because I wasn't there and the guy wasn't there. I'm like, all right, cool. So now, long story short, they changed my catheter, everything. They did blood work, find out I got another UTI. This UTI is actually bad because the bacteria is bad, and they have to isolate me and put me under ESBL. ESBL is when you have a bacteria that can be contracted maybe through contact. They don't know exactly what's going on, so they put you on an ESBL. Basically, whatever hospital room you in, you're isolated. Boom. They give me antibiotics, meropenem, then they tell me we're gonna transfer you to Huntington Park. Huntington Park, you're gonna go there and get your treatment, 12 days of antibiotics, and that's it. End up going to Huntington Park. Boom. They put me in a bed that I'm not supposed to be in, so I had to report that at Huntington Park, and they gave me antibiotics for 6 days instead of 12. Then they discharged me back to the place again, and I'm like, all right, cool. Instead of complaining to the hospital there, I just reported them. I didn't want to go through it. I was already irritated. I reported them. Boom. They end up getting fined and so on, and then next you know it, I have a monthly annual to get my catheter changed again, and when I go back to Northridge to get it changed, they do blood work every time they do it. I still got a UTI. So now, instead of getting my antibiotics there and my treatment there, they got to transfer me to Gardena. They transfer me to Gardena. I go through hell at Gardena, man, because Gardena gives me one of the strongest antibiotics, and it made me allergic react. It made me throw up, man. They every time I pressed my stomach, I was throwing up blood. It was so black. It looked like coffee without creamer, man. And then from there, it was like they had to stick a NG tube, which is a tube they stick down your nose, through your throat, to go to your stomach to suction all the liquid that's in your stomach. And I had to do that for 3 days. And yeah, man, when the doctor came and talked to me and I told him what was going on, he was kind of like played dumb, like, no, that's not what it is. It's this. I'm like, you can't. In my head, I'm like, you can't tell me what it is. I already looked it up on ChatGPT. I explained ChatGPT my symptoms, and ChatGPT basically told me everything, and that's exactly what went on. But long story short, after that, you feel me, the caseworker came in and was like, we can't transfer you nowhere because that place don't want to take you back, so you're going to be here for a while. She probably came back in after I said I was there for about a month and a half. When she came back in one day, she was like, man, your insurance don't want to pay here. You're going to have to go back to that place because your insurance is going to drop you, and you're in the room, and we're going to have to charge you for both of these beds, which is $15,000 a piece. So I'm like, damn, like now I'm basically like in a pickle. So I have no choice but to go back to that place. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go back to that place. You feel me? Whatever. I ain't got no choice. I get back to the place. I get there. The guy is gone, but the lady is still there. You feel me? So she like, man, look, I'm gonna be here to the 15th. Please be, considerate to me. Be nice. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, look, as long as you do what you do, you feel me, I ain't gonna complain. You ain't gonna have no problems. You feel me? Thank God we didn't have no problems. We didn't have none. The only problem we had is she didn't clean my, you feel me, my hair. She wasn't cutting my nails, so my nails was growing. You feel me, my hair with that psoriasis caked up. My dad ended up coming one week to try to cut my hair, and the clippers wouldn't cut. They kept biting because I had so much psoriasis skin in my head. I got pictures of the skin and everything, and I also got some footage from when I was at Gardena Hospital with the tube and stuff down, and it was suctioning all of the fluid out of me and stuff. But I had IVs. My arm was kind of swollen. Man, look, I went through a lot, man. These days, you feel me, I'm tired, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm tired of life in general, man. But I gotta keep pushing because, you feel me, with God as my strength and refuge, you feel me, I just keep pushing. And I'm just being transparent with you. I'd be tired, man. Tired of life, man. I'm tired, man. It's so frustrating. But I just thank y'all, man, for continue to push me and motivate me to keep going, man. Peace and blessings to y'all. I love y'all. Continue liking, sharing, and commenting. Peace and blessings, y'all.